3rd of March is Marilyn. And then Thursday is PV Intermediate. And that's where we take turns going out to those schools, and we will be going to their, I believe it's social studies classes, and giving just an overall presentation of the changes between middle school and high school, and kind of what kind of schedules we should be looking at and what it's going to look like. So that's kind of the first time we're going to go meet them. And then the big thing for parents, March 16th, starting at 5:30 p.m. for any 8th grade. That's the 8th grade parent orientation. And that's where you will actually have a presentation by your alpha counselor. So we do our own families. And so that's kind of nice, where a lot of times it's familiar faces, because I've had, multiple students or families or anyone that's new. And that's where we'll really give you an orientation of kind of also what to expect. So what we're telling the students, we'll also tell you guys at that night presentation, and that will be in person at Peninsula High. So that's exciting. That'll be our first in-person meeting in a while, right, Adam? I think, for parents at least. And then we go back to the middle schools after spring break to collect all of their scheduling information, and then we meet with our students, your kids individually by a counselor, and make sure they've done everything they were supposed to for scheduling, and that everything is kind of appropriate for graduation and for your college. So it's kind of a big month between mid-March and April for all of our incoming 8th graders and families. Anything to add to that, Mr. Genovese?
No, that's it. That's exactly right. It's definitely an exciting time. I know that there is a lot of anxiety that goes into the 9th grade scheduling, but we have this down to a science. I don't know if we're going to start talking about the courses just yet, Kelly, but that's where all the conversation comes into play. I can guarantee you, it might sound overwhelming. How do you fit it all in? Do I have to take summer school? We're going to go through all of that. So go ahead, Kelly. I'll follow your lead here.
So one of the things with this, people kind of agonize over this, and there's, I hear it like with my friends, and it's like the biggest decision you'll ever make on what classes to take freshman year. And I just want to kind of downplay that a little bit, because you're a student and you really have no choices. So this is not something you should agonize over. Every freshman has to take 6 classes, and about 5 of them are already picked for you. You have to take English, you have to take math. Typically they take a science, typically they're doing their world language, they have to take a PE. So you have one choice. So this is not something to agonize or stress over. And the choice typically is when to do world history. So world history is this 9th or 10th grade history course. And they only have to do, so there will be 1 year in high school where they won't have a required history. So if their 6th class is world history in freshman year, then they get to take an elective in sophomore year. My personal recommendation is to let your freshmen, like, they don't even know where their locker is or where they want to sit or like what group they're going to have. Like, give them that, take world history sophomore year. So that one class that they get to pick can be more of like a ceramics, because you do need a visual performing art to graduate and apply to 4-year college. So give them a little bit of an easier transition, because not only is it a transition academically, it's a transition socially, and we want them to really enjoy their first year and get excited. I'm in the middle of meeting with freshmen right now, and everyone's saying they love it. And I don't know if it's just they're so excited to be in person. But no matter what the experiences have been in middle school, socially, kids really blossom here at Penn, and they find their way, and they're just so excited. So just give them a break and let them kind of figure it all out, and maybe save that world history, and so they don't have all those academic solids right away. Then there's also how many honors classes we take, all that. Just because your middle school is recommended to you for all honors classes does not mean you have to take all honors classes. That is typically a big load here, and the homework level from everybody I've talked to as students is a lot bigger than middle school in an honors class. So let them kind of start off small, and then colleges want to see them build every year based on being successful in their classes. So I just really hope that you give them a chance to just kind of be kids and kind of transition slowly into all of this so that they enjoy it instead of, hate it. It's supposed to be fun. Anything to add, Adam?
Yeah, I mentioned this in the last PTSA meeting. I'm very good on building on other people's really good ideas. So I'll piggyback on what Kelly said. Basically the way you want to think about it, and Kelly started it off this way too. Think about the main subjects that the student is going to be taking in most years. And then it really does become simplified, because trust me, I get it. In your head, you don't know all the classes, you don't know all the requirements. Are they supposed to take engineering? I've heard a lot about STEAM. Is health coming back? It can get very overwhelming, but at the end of the day, just take it right back to the basics. Math, English, science, social studies, world language, phys ed. Always go back to those. Math, science, English, social studies, world language, phys ed. Now, you might start saying, well, if they're going to do that every year, that's 6 classes. I don't want my kid taking a 0 period and 7 classes a year. Where are they going to do their art? My kid is interested in taking an engineering course. My kid wants to take ethics. When are they? That's where we start looking at each student individually. And I promise you, the counselor will be there every single year. So please don't think, oh my goodness, we made this decision and we're never going to be able to figure it out until the next scheduling window. It doesn't go like that. You can get in touch with your counselor anytime. But starting off in freshman year, like Kelly said, the big decision to make is going to be, am I doing world history in freshman year or not? Because unlike the other subjects, or actually, I take that back. In history, you only need 3 years in high school. Okay, so right off the bat, you could say, well, if I'm going to do, all the subjects I just said, the math, science, world language, phys ed, what am I saying? Math, science, English, social studies, world language, phys ed. If I'm going to do those every year, where do I fit the art? Well, again, history, you definitely are not going to do in that 4th year. That's where you can put the art. That's where people will say, well, maybe I want to do AP European history the year that I'm not required to do it. Okay. And again, that's where we look at it individually. Remember, a lot of students are not going to continue with phys ed in junior and senior year. It's only required freshman and sophomore. Now, there are students in sports, so they are going to have it every single year. And again, that's different. That's where we'll take the one-on-one situations. But a lot of students will start, say, freshman year in Spanish 2 or French 2. So maybe you're not going to go all 4 years. Maybe after you finish 3 or 4, you're gonna drop out. And that's fine. Maybe science, you only do 3 years instead of 4. Each situation is going to be different. So please don't get hung up on you're not going to be able to fit in all these classes. You will do it. There might be some give and take that, some students want all these incredible classes and there's only so much time in the day. But I just wanted to make sure everybody knows we will be able to get all those requirements in there. Even if you do the AVID, even if you're doing a sport every year, we will find it. And the next thing that I want you to keep in mind is when you're making these schedules, people will very often ask, oh, Ms. Brannick, Dr. Genovese, Ms. Chan, am I just supposed to take all honors classes? I heard that colleges want honors classes. Well, we're very, very honest with our students and families. We're also very realistic. We're not going to sit here and say that taking an honors class doesn't make a difference. Of course it makes a difference. But with that theory, when do you stop? People say, oh, should I take 2 instead of 1? I heard that you should take 2. Yeah, sure. Then why not 3 instead of 2? Then why not 4 instead of 3? But, at what point does it stop? So this is the kind of the simplistic way I explain it to people. Take 2 things. Take your capacities and take what you want. Okay, so we talk about what makes you the most marketable and what makes you the most happy. And that's what we put together to figure out the overall schedule. So again, you'll get guidance the entire time, but that's how we're going to figure it out. Not every student takes the same number of honors courses. Every student is different. Effort level, capacities, what you're doing outside of school. So that's why the simplistic way of looking at it is what makes you the most marketable, what makes you the most happy, keeping in mind that you want time for sleep. Kids need to watch TV for 2-3 hours sometimes. You need family time. You need to be able to go to grandma's house in Seattle every now and then. These are good things. So the balance, marketable, happiness, and keeping in mind we'll be there the whole way.
Any questions from, oh, no, we can't do questions yet, right? So you.
I mean, you know what, if you guys are done with the formal part, that's fine. Or if you want to do Q&A, it's up to the attendees. I just don't record so that people are comfortable. I know there's some in the chat
Right.
coming up. Do you want to kind of just generally, maybe instead of going to questions, discuss what current 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders should do? And then we can just turn off the recording and go straight to questions.
Kelly,
Or
like
Sure.
we
how
did,
would you rather do it?
I was gonna ask, Kelly,
Can I
would you
address-
mind if I just do summer school real quick?
Right, let me just address real quick one question in the chat.
What?
Do incoming ninth graders just wait until the individual schedule meeting at the school to sign up for classes? So no, just like in high school, you do them ahead of time, which your intermediate school is supposed to communicate to you and give you directions and do that. So when we come for those individual meetings, everything is done. We're looking on Aries, it should be done. We're taking the piece of paper, it should be done with your signature. And we're just making sure everything was done correctly. So that will all be done ahead of time, and you should be getting information before spring break, and your window will open in Aries to do that, so that you do that ahead of time, okay? And then yes,
Right.
Go ahead, Adam.
So everything, like Kelly's saying, so everything for grades 9 through 11 has pretty much happened already, at least the core of it, because the scheduling sheets have been submitted. We're meeting with all the 9th graders now. We've already done 11th and 10th. That's why we were kind of focusing on the rising freshmen. But yes, for all the parents here with students already in grades 9 through 11, we want you to know we're involved in that process pretty much until early May. It's more like mid to late May, but I'm going to say early May. We could make adjustments in the course requests. So students can still come to us before that. Oh, I wanted to change this. I want to look at that. No problem. It's much better to do it now than after the master schedule has already put people in spots and sections. So don't hesitate to do that. Now, I wanted to, first, because I see some of the questions in the chat, a very, very useful spot, even for me as a counselor, and I'm supposed to know all this stuff already. When you're on the PVPHS website, just the regular school website, if you click on counseling, which is right smack in the middle, and then course selection 2022-23 on the right-hand side, you will literally see all the information that you need. It has all the forms you might need. It has dates, it has processes, it has the course handbook. I saw people were asking about a list of electives. And the beauty about the course handbook is that not only do they have a list, but they have the descriptions, the prerequisites. So I'm on the course handbook a lot, again, even as a counselor. So we're going through the process with 9 through 11. And the reason I wanted to bring up summer school, I promise it's not because I'm the summer school principal. It's so funny that my boss gets mad at me sometimes. Well, I have a couple of bosses, but my summer school boss jokes around with me sometimes. He's like, for a summer school principal, you really don't advocate for summer school all that often. I'm very much in the mindset of, if you want to do summer school because you want to open up a spot for another class the following year, or for incoming 11th and 12th graders, maybe you want to take 5 classes instead of 6, alleviate a spot. You want to take US history over the summer so you can finally take that art class. Again, case by case basis, I would say, like Kelly, I think summers are precious. Do it if your student is into it. I would never force a student to do summer school. That's a great way to find student burnout. If they're really, really resisting it, and again, I know you in your head, you're like, no, I know better. It might be better for you to do it now, and then you could not have to take it during the year and you have a little more time. But don't push them to burnout. So summer school, again, even as the principal, I'm not going to say everybody should be doing it. It's a case-by-case family basis, but that would be the reason that you're doing summer school. So you could either alleviate a spot for the schedule next year because you want to add something, or you just don't want the schedule to be as strenuous because of everything else that you're doing. Now this summer, I'm very, very excited. I know it's going to sound like a sales pitch. I promise you it's not. We've noticed that we were losing a lot of students. Kelly's like, no, it's a little bit of a sales pitch. We noticed that we were losing a lot of students to Silicon Valley, El Camino, Apex, UC Scout, these different online programs, because people want it's totally fine with me if you continue the recording. I just saw that on the chat section. But we're losing a lot of people to these online programs. And I said, you know what? I would rather keep our people. If they're going to do online, fine. I understand that's the way of the future. I did my doctorate online. I'm not going to start casting any shadow on that. It's fine. Let's keep them. Let's keep it with our teachers, with our programs, with our pacing guides. So we're using a program called UC Scout for our curriculum, but they're still our courses. They're still PVPSS courses, go right on the PVPUSD transcript. It's a very simple process. So we're offering online courses for the first time this summer. Now you might say, oh, Adam, I know that you've offered online courses in past years. That was only because we had to, because COVID hit and we basically last minute just try to put the classroom on the computer. This is totally different. This is completely async. So you don't have to sign on. And what I love about our program, again, not trying to sound too sales pitchy, but we have our own teachers and they're going to have support every single day, optional support. So it's for world history, US history, and government and economics. It would be the incoming sophomores taking world history, the incoming juniors taking US history, and the incoming seniors taking government and economics. Those are semester classes combining for one full year. And those are the ones that they can take online. Everything else is still on campus, the math, the science, the art. We're not offering English this year because the district's doing it for free. That's a separate conversation where the district is offering free remediation classes, still on PV High campus, but run by a different program than mine. So yes, we have the online courses, very excited about that. And like I said, the teachers will provide optional office hours every single day. If you have some questions, every week they'll have a 2-hour review session. You don't have to go, okay? If you're doing great and you don't feel like going, that's absolutely fine. So we're offering that this summer and still having the online courses in world history and US history, not government and economics, but in the other ones. So we're just excited to kind of keep up with the times, offer it through our own people and with our own support. What I'm extremely excited about, I know Kelly is gonna get mad at me, but what I'm really extremely excited about this summer is for the very first time, we also noticed that not we were losing students, but a lot of students are using these college application preparation specialists. And I had nothing against these specialists. You know, some of them call them experts a little loosely, in my opinion. But what I will say is this. They generally don't work in schools. They definitely don't work in our school. So if we could have our professionals, our own professionals, guiding them, not giving them information that could be misleading or against what we preach here. And also, again, since they very often don't work in schools, I find their information's just sometimes a little bit off. And people spend thousands and thousands of dollars for it. So I said, you know what, I would love to try to start our program here, but I don't want it to exist the way it does outside. I want a certain direction. So I talked to Kelly about it. She was by far my first choice of the person I wanted to do it. But then she had all these incredible ideas, one of which was to involve a writing specialist. So we could have the college and career and application and preparation specialist and Kelly, who, you know, as Sangeeta said before, or maybe it was Lana, I'm forgetting, is the head counselor. She's been doing this for 20 years, had literally thousands of seniors graduate from under her supervision. But let's also get a writing specialist, and who better than probably everybody's favorite English teacher, Tim Hall. You know, so with the two of them, just with how motivational they are and combining their two skill sets, we're for the first time this summer going to be offering, it's called College Application Prep Workshop. College Application Prep, we're shortening to CAP. So it's going to be the CAP workshop, where it's going to be on campus during all the school days, during all the summer school days. And we're finalizing the times. It's going to be in like the 9 to 11, 9:30 to 11:30 range every single day. We're going to do 2 sessions. Okay. There's going to be in both semesters, there's going to be 1 session. First 3 weeks, 1 session, second 3 weeks, another session. And they're basically just going to take these students through the entire process to the point where you could literally have all of your college applications done by the time you step foot in your first day of senior year, which, you know, for parents who've been through it before, the September, October, November can be rough. Can be really rough when you're in that senior year trying to do both at the same time. So anyway, again, not trying to sound like too much of a sales pitch, but I'm very excited about both of those programs. Kelly, I hate to put you on the spot. Is there anything you wanted to add about your own program? I'm the one speaking about it.
I do, because this is new, and you know, it's always been my passion. But to make it clear, this is not. I feel like in our community, everybody pays top dollar and what they're expecting from that is Harvard, Stanford, Yale. If any of you know me or have heard me talk at all, this is the opposite of who I am and what I stand for. It is
also
more
just
about
$600 for the session. That's it, $600. I mean, it's insane. But
so what I'm hoping to get is a group of students who are so the biggest mistake we see in for juniors is building the college list. And like I've said a million times, we're only applying to about 40% of the schools that exist in our country. So that's why everybody thinks it's impossible to get into college when there are like tons and tons of great colleges that we're not looking at, or we're not doing the research and we're not putting the time in. So my biggest part, I want these kids that hopefully I'll get blessed to have in our program we're going to spend a lot of time researching the list and making sure, yes, it's okay to have some reach schools, but all of our students continue to apply to all reach schools. And then they're really upset with college admissions decisions when it doesn't have to be like that. So we're going to kind of broaden the horizon. We're going to, do the research, get excited about some of our safety and target schools, and building an appropriate list, because all of the kids that I see that work really hard on building an appropriate list have really, really good results in admissions. So when we talk about what maybe juniors should be doing over the summer, if they're not doing it through our program or with anything else, they should be, working on college apps and essays, because when they start senior year, they still have a full load of classes they still have to keep up with. So that's kind of what we're hoping juniors are doing, getting ahead on that kind of stuff. And then for like freshmen and sophomores, just kind of exploring options in the summer, looking for volunteer work, figuring out, if you're old enough to take a job, figuring out what you want to do or don't want to do, things you like or dislike. Yes, summer school is always an option, but I think, schools were built to have summers off from education so that kids can kind of build themselves as human beings and, give back to their community and those kinds of things. So I'm pretty passionate about that. I have one family in my almost 20 years say, thank you for that. We actually took your advice and we didn't let them do summer school, and we did family trips every summer, and I really got to enjoy my kids, and then they were off to college. So that was only one, but it's okay. If only one person's listening to me, that's okay. But I do understand that sometimes there's like sports and they want to do 2 programs and they need to kind of alleviate something in the summer, but it is possible to get in all of our requirements without taking things in summer as well. So we'll probably have questions. I'm gonna just turn off my screen and see a couple of students. I know Adam can answer these questions, and I'll be back in.
Okay, so yeah, let's get to questions, and we'll keep recording while the questions are still general. And I'm not, the chat has been really hard to keep up with. There's a lot going on. So if Kelly or Adam have not answered a chat question that you've written down, or I or Lana have not, please just raise your hand. Actually, it's going to be hard to follow that too. So just unmute yourself and we'll respectfully figure out how to take turns to ask questions. So
maybe there is a couple of questions there about El Camino in particular. So Adam, maybe you can address them in terms of can freshmen take classes at El Camino? What classes count towards high school credit? Which ones are not?
Sure. So incoming freshmen, I was just putting in the chat section. Please feel free to visit pbpss.com for all of our summer school information. Most freshmen, incoming freshmen, are taking either biology or an art class. Now at PBPSS, we offer photography, drawing and painting, and ceramics. In other places, it's just hit or miss. Now it's very difficult to find a lab science or a fine art that's offered online. And El Camino, Apex, UC Scout, all those programs are online. Now, are there ways that maybe you can take something at El Camino over the summer, take an art class or something like that? Maybe, I'm not really sure, but most of their classes are online. So Can you take a class at El Camino, incoming 9th grade, incoming 10th grader? Yes, it would need to be approved first because we need to make sure that it's approved through the UC doorway system. But I personally have never seen an incoming 9th grader taking a class at El Camino. You know, when they could take it with us, if there was a reason, you know, definitely bring it up with us. But yeah, it's just a matter of the class being approved. So you'd always want to run it through the counselor first.
Adam, I'm sorry. I think El Camino restricts students. I think only incoming 11th graders and up can take classes at El Camino. I think they're restricting.
That's correct. That's correct.
I believe by age.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, there's a
Yeah, by age. Yeah, that's right. Because El Camino's also been offering these classes for free. So I think they're trying to limit that. A very good question here about PVPSS. So it's not technically PVPUSD, and I'm not going to bore you with the whole history, but it was basically years ago where the district really just was hoping to alleviate some of the pressure. It is a massive undertaking to do the summer school. So the Ed Foundation was kind enough to take it over, and now they run it through the Ed Foundation. So it's not technically considered PVPUSD, it's considered PVPSS. You know, and that's how they end up, there's money involved, and we have slightly different rules and policies, but the PVPUSD program is also in effect this summer. So I run the high school version of PVPSS on the same campus, on the Palos Paredes High School campus this summer, because it alternates campuses. Last year was Penn, this year is PV High. They're going to be doing a free program, and I believe it's only going to be this summer. It's not something they've done before. It's not something that I think they're planning on doing in the summer. It was one-time monies that was received by the district due to, I believe, COVID. You know, COVID compensation, trying to help people, districts out. And our district decided to use a chunk of that money, and understandably so. I think it's a fantastic idea to help students not only pass classes that they may have failed, but also classes that they might need for A through G requirements. So even if it's not required for high school graduation, even if it's to make up the D, because a D is actually passing. You know, it's to make up the D so you could be A through G eligible. They're offering that on PV High campus as well this year. But again, that's actually through PVPUSD itself. So you would just go to the district website for more information on that, or the counselor. But we've sent out letters to people who are eligible for it. If for any reason you didn't get a letter and you think you are, you would just get in touch with the counselor. But yes, 2 different programs. I'm glad you brought that up. If it's okay with you, Lana and Sangeet, I'll just kind of keep going through the questions.
Yeah, you know what? Why don't we read the question, since we are recording, instead of just answering it, if you don't mind, and I can read it for you if you like, and then you can answer it. I think so far we're caught up. If we're not, if we've missed anyone, go ahead and chime in. Otherwise, I'm going to just go down the line in the chat. And the next question is, with AVID, do you recommend 0 period versus summer? Student is AB grades as freshman. What time does 0 period start with new start time?
So most likely, these are all really good questions. Most likely, we're going to be starting 0 period at 7:30 and first period around 8:30. So somewhere within that range. Can't say just yet, but that's where it looks like it's going. Pretty much definite. So this is what I would say about AVID. It's one of those classes where it stays in the schedule every single year. So you have to start kind of picking and choosing. Okay, am I going to do a 0? Am I going to do a summer school class? Am I not going to take science my senior year? Am I not going to take world language senior year? Am I not going to do physics? That's where all these things come into play. So there's no perfect answer. It'll depend on if the student is doing a sport all the years, what they're going into with the world language. But I will say this, as far as 0 period, if your student struggles to learn in the morning, please don't force it. It's a major struggle. I've seen people, I've seen their grades drop, and the whole point of AVID is to get them more interested in school and in a better rhythm. So it'd be counterproductive if you force a 0 period. I also don't recommend incoming 9th graders taking 7 periods. You know, again, it's one more period in the day, but there's usually a way to get everything in there anyway. So just talk to the counselor about individuals, but I would not do 7 periods. I personally wouldn't do 7 periods any year, but definitely not going into freshman year.
I totally agree with that. I mean, and 0 period, unless you have a morning person, their sleep is so important as time goes by. So
Yeah.
I-
And that's one of the reasons they're moving it back. All these studies have shown people aren't learning at 7, 8 o'clock. We need to push this back a little bit. So it's all relevant.
The next question is incoming ninth may take world history during the summer at PVPHS, or it's only for 10th graders.
Another good question. So for ninth graders, you can at PVPHS, meaning the actual high school, yes, ninth graders should take world history. That's where you would decide, do you want to do world history freshman year or sophomore year? Where do you want to put the art class? But PVPSS, the actual summer school itself, world history would be for incoming 10th graders.
Okay. The next question is, does one need to be enrolled to take summer school courses? We are in the process of moving to Palos Verdes, but it won't happen until August.
Okay, so fortunately, you're talking to the principal. So I am very confident we can make this work. What I want you to do is just, I want you to email help@pvpss.com, not the PVPHS, but help@pvpss.com, or just go to pvpss.com and look for the help section. Email them, just mention that Dr. Genovese, is aware of this and what can we do. The only reason I'm going to have you email them is once you get it in writing, it goes into the system, and then we could all work on it as opposed to just conversation. We do need registration, and we can't hold spots, but I would be pretty surprised if we couldn't figure out a way to get you into a spot. We'll have to get a little creative there. So email that help@pvpss.com, and we'll figure out a way to make that happen. And just in the email, let us know which course you're interested in taking. It'll probably be an in-person one, but we'll work hard to figure that out.
That's excellent. Okay, the next question is, my son is going to take world language 4 years in high school. Did I understand correct that he needs to take either VPA or CTE for 1 year to meet graduation requirements?
The answer is yes. So again, we could look at math, science, English, social studies, world language, phys ed. So if this student is going to be doing world language every year, say he starts at Spanish 1, going to do 2, 3, 4 throughout the years, and say this student is also doing a sport all 4 years. So you're not finding a spot anywhere, and you want to do science all 4 years. Math, I say you don't have a choice, even though you really do. Math, do all 4 years. Please don't fight us on it. I don't care if you're good in math, bad in math, middle in math. Take math all 4 years. But if you're looking to do all the other ones all 4 years and there's just no breaking point, that's where you would say, and yes, to answer your question, you do need 1 year, not or CTE, 1 year specifically of visual and performing arts. It's different from high school graduation. You need the visual and performing arts requirement for colleges. Okay, so you need that 1 year, and that's where you would say, okay, the 1 year you're not doing history. Well, I want to do AP European history that year. Okay, well, something's got to give at some point. So yes, you do need the visual and performing arts, but there's usually a nice comfortable spot to put that at some point. Oh, thanks, Lana. Shared the course description handbook. I appreciate that.
Thank you. The next question is, I don't know if I fully understand, but I kind of do. Music or team sport usually in 0/7 period or in the regular 6 period?
Right. So all of our sports are going to go into 6th period when we build the master schedule. The only reason you'll see some sports as 7th period is because of like legalities and technicalities. For example, if we have a coach who's not on campus and they're not starting practice until, I don't know, say 2:45 or something like that. Well, that's not technically 6th period, and that person technically isn't a teacher. So can we technically say it's a 6th period class? No, even though you can't take another 6th period class because you need to have that designated for the sport, for competitions, et cetera. So I'm probably making it more complicated than necessary. Just pretend they're all 6th period classes for the sports. For music, it's different. Music, those periods are during the day. There are other 7th period types of clubs where you would be doing on lunch hour or after school, but most of our music classes are right smack in the school day. And yeah, so that would just be slightly different than the sports, which would be 6th period. Now, the 0 period, that would only be for surf, would be the 0 period sports. We don't have any other sports at 0 period. Yes. Oh, thank you, Lana, for also putting the help at pvpss.com. I keep saying PVPSS as if everybody knows, because I'm the principal. I'm in that world every day. Palos Verdes Peninsula Summer School is PVPSS, and again, it's not technically PVPUSD, but we act that way. The grades, you don't have to order them or anything; they'll go directly into the transcript. You actually get to decide if you want them to go into the transcript or not. You don't have to. If you just don't like your grades, you don't have to count them. But yeah, PVPSS is our summer school. And I just wanted to throw one more thing about Kelly and Tim's college application prep workshop. What I also love about that is students are going to be able to help each other because there's going to be a group. I think we're allowing 25 per session. Hey, you studied some East Coast schools. You studied University of Delaware and Vassar. Every Wednesday for 20 minutes, we're going to have people share out about the colleges they learned about, and you're going to talk about these certain categories. It's just a great way to feed off of each other. And then I'm also seeing, PVP. Yes, I appreciate you. Wow, you explained that better than I did, Shari. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly, yeah.
You brought up a great point. I was not aware of this, although we never did summer school while my kids were going through high school, but I did not realize that the summer school courses you take through PVPSS, you do not need to count. So does that mean you'll just repeat it if you were trying to take it for the following year, that there would be no record of it on a transcript?
That's exactly correct. And that's because again, we want to give you the same benefit that an outside course would give you. And now, if you take a course at Apex or El Camino or wherever, you don't have to transcript that. It's completely up to you to send the transcript. Same thing with PVPSS. You don't have to send the transcript. We'll have the grades already because we're all working in Aries in the same system, but you don't have to, if you don't like the grades, you don't have to transcript it, which is rare. Last summer, goodness, I think there were maybe one, and we have hundreds, thousands of students. I can't think of maybe 2 or 3 C's in semesters. Everything else was A's and B's. They work for it. Please don't take that as saying that summer school is easy, because it is not. Those students are working a good 5 to 10 hours a day. Including in class time for the online classes. They're still going to be working on their own a lot. So it's a lot. But yeah, it's and then you put the graduation requirements up too. Yeah, I appreciate that. Culinary art class counted to fulfilling. Yeah, so goodness, I think we should even probably put this up in the course handbook, because and this has been for 20 years. I've been answering this question because we had this where I was a counselor in New York. We had it at PBI. We have it here where we were in Redondo, when I was assistant principal in Redondo. We've always had culinary arts, and the fact that the word arts is in it makes you think that's an art class. Why not? Of course you would think that, but it's not. It's considered CTE, which is career technical education. So it's not counted as an art class. So just something to know, especially for the incoming freshman family. I see a lot of students who picked culinary arts and probably thought it was going to be an art class, but that's not the case.
So to clarify, it does not count as the fine art credit. I want to make sure we address that part in the question. Since you are required to have a fine art credit for graduation, the culinary art class does not count. Okay, the next question is, will the college prep course repeat the same info during the first 3 weeks and the second 3 weeks? Should a student enroll in both or only one?
Yeah, please only enroll in one. I'm not positive. You never know until things actually shake out, but I think it's going to fill up quickly. And I would like as many people to benefit from it as possible moving forward. And again, we're not trying to get ahead of ourselves, but if it just becomes massively popular, especially because Kelly and Tim are Kelly and Tim, then we would consider doing 2 sessions. That's a lot for Kelly and Tim. We would consider doing 2 sessions per semester. But right now it's just going to be 50 spots total, 25 in the first, 25 in the second. It's going to be the same information in terms of the way it's run, but they're not going to run it as a workshop where you're really just kind of listening to them and lecture the whole time. It's going to be very hands-on. They're going to be guiding you through these applications. Mr. Hall will actually be guiding them through the essays. They're going to be doing. They're not going to be just talking. They're going to be doing a lot of doing. That's why I was saying you could have your college applications done by the time the school year starts. So you should not enroll in both. Could it benefit you to enroll in both? Sure, just because you would be able to continue with Kelly and Tim and get more information. But I think the one session would be great.
Yeah, I think that's probably good advice, is to just stick to one session, because it would be somewhat repetitive. Okay, the next question is, how much guidance are the 8th graders getting in terms of how to build their schedule? How much support do they need from us?
Great. Oh, and just one more thing I wanted to say, incoming seniors can do economics, government, and CAP workshop, the college application prep workshop. Because econ and gov are going to be online, I'm making sure that the office hours don't overlap, so you can do both. So yeah, as far as the 8th graders, they're going to be a couple of things. We're doing the orientation next week. Just gonna double check to make sure I don't give wrong information. But we're doing the orientation next week. I believe it's on the 16th.
I think Kelly did enter the dates at the top of the chat for all the middle schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember she was talking about that. For the orientation itself, for the group orientation, the parent orientation, that's on the 16th. And you'll get information about that. Then the individual, not the individual ones, when we go to speak with only the students, okay, we're going to do another orientation with the students. We're going to do that the following week. So Ridgecrest 22nd, Miralles 23rd, PBIS 24th. And then again, after that, we're going to meet with them individually in April. So they're going to get plenty of guidance. The parents will get plenty of guidance. And we're going to make sure that those schedules look good going into freshman year.
The next question is, does summer school ceramics/art course qualify towards art requirement?
I love all these summer school questions. That's my wheelhouse. So you're making me feel smart right now. The summer school ceramics art course, yes. So we have 3 classes in PVPSS. Again, not PVPHS. We have a lot more than 3 in PVPHS, but in PVPSS over the summer, we're actually very proud to offer 3 different options. We have photography, ceramics, and drawing and painting. We even have drawing and painting too. If your student wanted to go to that next level. So, and yes, that all 3 of those classes will satisfy the visual and performing arts requirement. So yes, ceramics does qualify for that. And then, I should have said this as well. I know that a lot of people are going to want to do the CAP program, the college application prep workshop, going into sophomore year, junior year. Why not, right? Like, why not get that information now so you could be a little bit ahead? And that's where, again, we might consider opening it up as we go into future years. But for right now, it's for rising seniors only. And like I said, we'll have the 2 different sessions.
The next question is, my current freshman was not able to get world history in his schedule this year. Can he take the asynchronized world history offered by PVPSS this summer to fulfill the graduation WH requirement?
Yes, excellent question. And the answer is yes. The online courses count just the same as everything else on a transcript. It won't say UC Scout. It won't say online PVPUSD. It's going to count as just a regular class. They're not going to see any reference to online or anything like that. It's a PVPUSD, PVPSS class. So yes, your child going into sophomore year can absolutely take the online world history course. What I will recommend is this. When you go to pvpss.com, you'll see all the registration dates. For incoming freshmen, it's in April. For everyone else, it's at the end of March. Please be ready on those registration dates to get in there, because spots fill up very fast. And I have a feeling that the online courses are going to fill up very fast, especially once people see who's teaching them. Like for online world history, I have Mr. Kim doing it, Charles Kim. Everybody loves Mr. Kim. For US history, I have Mr. Streitfeld from over at Rancho, and also Mr. Stoddard from PV High. I mean, people adore those teachers. They're just very popular for government and econ. We have Mr. Bowles, Mr. Frazier, Mr. Quick, so you have the popular people, and the on-campus classes too. We want to bring people in, and we want the summer experience to be good. So we have our best and brightest there. So yes, I would take a very close look at those registration dates and times, and just kind of be ready for it. That world history class, especially being taught by Mr. Kim, I don't expect it to be available for too much longer after the initial registration day.
Okay, are there other questions? I don't see any in the chat group. So if there is, you can unmute yourself and ask it, and I think we'll stop the recording now. So if there are some informal type questions people want to ask, we can stop the recording. So